Please start.
Now we will be discussing about the high courts, and later during the last course we will discuss about the subordinate courts. Prior to coming into this high court, first of all, sorry, like I have missed 2 points relating to the Supreme Court chapter. The thing is, one in hurry I told that from Article 124 till 245. No, it is from Article 124 to 147. It is about the Supreme Court. And another thing is I forgot is this thing. The Supreme Court has power under Article 139 capital A to transfer the cases to itself. Means if it thinks that there are any cases before 2-3 more high courts or before only one high court, and if it thinks that it can decide that case by itself, then the Supreme Court has power under Article 139 capital A to transfer that case to itself and decide that matter. So this is about the Supreme Court. And in High Court there is nothing, there are only few topics that we have to discuss, because almost all what is there for the Supreme Court has been retained for the High Courts. Now first thing first, what Article 214 of the Constitution says is there shall be High Court at each state. Means at the state level there should be a High Court. And as I told you, the Supreme Court is the union judiciary. So the High Court is the state judiciary at the top of the state judiciary, and subordinate courts like district court, sessions court, metropolitan court, and all that. So these all are they all come under the state judiciary, and at the top is the High Court. Now, for each state, Article 214 says there shall be one High Court. But presently there are 25 High Courts. A doubt might come. There are 29 states and this many union territories. Why only 25 High Courts? So what Article 231 of the Constitution says is Parliament can provide for common High Courts for 2 or more states. Suppose for example, Guwahati High Court. It is the High Court for the state of Assam, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Arunachal Pradesh. So for 4 states, it is the only one High Court, one and only High Court. Another example, Chandigarh High Court. It is the High Court for the state of Punjab, state of Haryana, and Union Territory of Chandigarh. So for these 3, it is one High Court. So for that reason, currently we are having 25 High Courts in our country. Article 214 provides for the constitution of the High Courts. And what is the composition of the High Court? Now, when we have seen about the Supreme Court, we have seen there was a limitation provided, not more than 7 judges, presently not more than 1 plus 34 judges. But so far as High Courts are concerned, it shall consist of 1 Chief Justice, and there is no minimum criteria nor maximum. It could be anything. Why this provision has been provided is there are 25 High Courts. For one state, they may require not more than 3-4 judges. And for another state, they may require 70-80 judges. Allahabad High Court, it has the highest strength, but appointments are not there. That is altogether a different story. So, for some states, there are very less judges. Recently, for our state of Telangana, the judges' strength has been increased. Now, it is the matter of time that they should be appointed. So, this is about the composition of the High Court. It shall consist of the Chief Justice and judges of the High Court. Judges. And what are the qualifications to be appointed as the judge of a High Court? The number 1 qualification is he shall be the judicial officer, district judge. Means he shall be the district judge. He shall hold the office of district judge for 10 years. Or an advocate who shall be practiced for 10 years. So this is what is the qualification to be appointed as a judge of the High Court. And again, as I said to you, there is no minimum qualification, even in the case of appointment of a High Court judge. Although the maximum age limit is 62. In Supreme Court, it is 65 for a Supreme Court judge, 65, and the High Court judge, it is 62. So that is the age limit. And so far as qualifications are concerned, these 2 are the qualifications. And one more thing, the distinction for the High Court and the Supreme Court is there we have seen eminent jurist can be appointed by the President as Supreme Court judge. But there is no such provision for appointment of a High Court judge, like eminent jurist and all that criteria. Only this two. He should be an advocate practicing for 10 or more years, or a district judge, means judicial officer, which consists of district judge, metropolitan court, and so on and so forth. But again, as per practice and MOP, the memorandum of procedure, and in Supreme Court class, I have told it as MOU. Sorry for that grammar, this thing. It is MOP, memorandum of procedure, which was what we call enacted between the Union Law Ministry and Supreme Court on June 30, 1999. I repeat, June 30, 1999. So this MOP was drafted between both of them after the third judge's case decision. So as per that, any person, at least we will be appointing him as a judge of the High Court when he reaches 45 years. So after 45 years only, they will be considered, although there is no minimum age limit in the Constitution. So this is for the appointment as a judge of the High Court. And from High Court, he can be elevated to the Supreme Court also. Apart from that, of having discussed this, we have said who shall be the Chief Justice and all that. Senior most judge will be the Chief Justice. And one more thing. You have seen any Chief Justice of a High Court will be not from that state. For very best example, our Telangana High Court. Our Telangana High Court Chief Justice is Honorable Justice Hema Kohli ma'am. So she is from Delhi High Court. Same is the case with any other judge. So what after this MOP and this judge's case, so that the judge should be not from the same High Court, they have said that any person who is to be appointed as the Chief Justice of the High Court shall be from the other state. I gave you the example of our Telangana High Court. Same will be the case with any other High Court in our country. So this is one of the things. Now, one more thing. High Court shall be a court of record, as we have seen with the Supreme Court under Article 129. With the Supreme Court under Article 215, High Court is a court of record. Means it has also got the power to punish for its contempt. Having said this, tenure and all that, we have seen disqualification. So far as disqualifications of the judge of the High Court is concerned, same procedure as is encapsulated for the disqualification of the Supreme Court judge is provided. Same procedure which we have discussed, that making of a motion and all that. And also one more thing, President of India appoints a High Court judge. President of India appoints a High Court judge. Same, based on the recommendation of the collegium. We have discussed about this collegium system and all that. So I will tell you the procedure of how a judge is appointed as per the MOP. It is not provided in the Constitution or anywhere. And we have written one article. I request Trinath to present that. After that, you may read it after the class or so on and so forth. So what is the MOP? What it says is, as per that June 30, 1990.
Present the article here. Already I shared it in the group WhatsApp.
Sure. So he has said in the WhatsApp group, it seems. So you can read that article. So how the judge is appointed of a High Court. So it is upon the Chief Justice of a High Court to initiate the procedure, and he will initiate the name. He will initiate that name to the Supreme Court Collegium. Now here the Supreme Court Collegium will be of one Chief Justice and two judges, two senior most judges. Therefore, an appointment of a Supreme Court judge, it was 1 plus 4. 1 plus 4 senior most judges. For appointment of a High Court judge, the collegium consists of one Chief Justice of India and two senior most judges. So the Chief Justice of High Court initiates the name and he will send it to the collegium. Suppose, for example, a Chief Minister of that state wants any person of this thing to be appointed as a Chief Justice, Judge of a High Court, then through Governor of the state, he can recommend to the Chief Justice of High Court. And based on that, the names will be going to the collegium of the Supreme Court, 1 plus 2 judges. What they will do is, they will indeed refer it to the Union Law Ministry. Then the Union Law Ministry will refer that to the President of India, and the President of India will appoint any person in this way, as per Article 216. So he will be appointed, 217, sorry. He will be appointed as the judge of a high court. So this is the practical procedure which happens. Although constitution has not provided, this we are discussing, so that you all get the clarity on how a Supreme High Court judge is appointed. And along with that, he should take an oath of office and one more thing. And one more thing that I have skipped in the Supreme Court column is, after any person who is appointed as a Supreme Court judge, after he retires, he cannot practice in the Supreme Court or any court. In any court, he cannot practice as an advocate. So why this provision has been inserted is to ensure that there is no bias or feeling of bias in mind of people. So to avoid all this, Supreme Court judge, a person who is appointed as a Supreme Court judge, after retirement, he cannot practice in any court in India. And so far as High Court judge is concerned, if he is made a permanent judge, then after retirement, he cannot practice in the courts in which he has been the judge. Suppose, for example, when a person has been appointed as a judge of Telangana High Court, then he has been transferred to Delhi High Court, then he has been transferred to Guwahati High Court. So after retirement, after 62 years, if he is not elevated as a Supreme Court judge, then he cannot practice in these three high courts. In these three courts. Apart from that, he can practice in any other court, like any other 22 courts. Remaining 22 courts, he can practice. So this is another provision that is provided under Article 219 of the Constitution. And one more thing, 220. And one more thing that is important is transfer of High Court judges. As per Article 222 of the Constitution, a High Court judge can be transferred. And for this transfer of judge, Chief Justice of India has to initiate. And he will be sending this recommendation to the President of India, and they will issue a notice, gazette notification, saying that a particular judge is transferred from this court to that court. In that article which Srinath has shared, we have discussed. That article was in light of transfer of judges only. So, now suppose for example, I am a judge of High Court. I have been appointed as a judge of High Court. So the President of India, based on the recommendation of the Supreme Court Chief Justice, can transfer me. And the Supreme Court has clarified that the judge who is to be transferred, his opinion does not matter. If I say, no, I don't want to go to Bombay High Court, no, my opinion does not matter. My will does not matter. It is only upon the Supreme Court. The judge of the Chief Justice of our High Court, the High Court from which he is to be transferred, his opinion will be taken. An opinion of the Chief Justice to the court, High Court, which he is transferred, his opinion is taken. Like Telangana, he is a judge of High Court, Telangana High Court, and he wants to be transferred to this what we call Bombay High Court. So, opinion of Chief Justice of Telangana High Court and Bombay High Court will be taken by the Chief Justice of India, and based on their opinion, he will recommend to the President of India, who in turn will issue a gazette notification saying that so and so judge from Telangana High Court is transferred to Bombay High Court. My opinion, my wish does not matter. If I don't want to get transferred, I have to resign and leave it. That's it. So that article covers about that, which you may read it. And having discussed this, we will talk about the jurisdiction of the High Court. Like this High Court has only very limited original jurisdiction. Only 5 courts have original jurisdiction. One is Presidency Court, that is Madras High Court, Bombay High Court and Calcutta High Court, Delhi High Court and Himachal Pradesh High Court. These 5 courts have original jurisdiction to entertain these matters, what we call your civil matters and all that. Apart from that, in that original jurisdiction only, the High Court has got writ jurisdiction. Writ jurisdiction under Article 226 of the Constitution. And when we have seen about the Supreme Court, we have talked about Supreme Court can entertain writ petition only when fundamental rights are violated. So far as High Courts are concerned, for any other purpose, you can find it very clearly, it can entertain the case. See, Article 226, Clause 1, I will read it. Notwithstanding anything in Article 32, every High Court shall have powers throughout the territories in relation to which it exercises jurisdiction to issue, to any person or authority, including in appropriate cases, any government within those territories directions, orders, or writs, including writs of habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, covenant, and certiorari, or any of them for enforcement of any rights conferred by Part 3. Part 3 is nothing but fundamental right, and for any other purpose. Apart from violation of fundamental rights, it has power to issue direction, writ, so on and so forth, for violation of even legal right or any other right of a citizen or any person. So this is the extraordinary power of the High Court under Article 227. This is one. And another power of the High Court is superintendent power under Article 227. It is, as I said, it is the highest court in the state. So it has got superintendent's power over all the subordinate courts. So if the subordinate courts are not functioning properly, or if they have exceeded any jurisdiction or anything of that sort, this High Court has got superintendent's power over this what we call subordinate courts. And one more thing, like what Article 323A and 323B were inserted into the Constitution by 42nd Constitutional Amendment. 42nd Constitutional Amendment in 1976. So tribunals were formed. So what this Article 323A and B said is, powers of High Court to adjudicate these certain matters over which tribunals have power were supplemented and given to these tribunals. So when it was challenged in the Supreme Court in L. Chandra Kumar versus Union of India, the 7-judge Constitution bench in 1997 declared this what we call taking away of power of the High Court as unconstitutional. What the Supreme Court said is, judicial review is part of basic structure of the Constitution. Hence, if you take away the power of the High Court over the decision of the tribunals, then it is unconstitutional. What this Article 323A and 323B provided was, from the decision of the tribunal, directly appeal shall lie to the Supreme Court. High Court was overpowered. High Court was taken away. So High Court jurisdiction was taken away and directly appeal was before the Supreme Court under Article 136. So in Chandra Kumar case, the Supreme Court said no, it is violation of judicial review power, which is basic structure of the Constitution. Hence, High Court power to judicial review from the decision of the tribunals was retained. And more so over in 2021, an ordinance was issued by the central government, by the President of India on April 4th, 2021. Tribunals Reform Ordinance. We wrote an article also on that in Bar and Bench. You can find a column on that. So, what it did is, 12 tribunals, appellate jurisdiction was given to the High Court. So, in this way, the High Court is exercising its function. So, this is the jurisdiction of the High Court. Now, that jurisdiction, original jurisdiction which the Supreme Court had between the states and union, this High Court does not have. And one more thing, High Court has got appellate jurisdiction. Now, from the decisions of the subordinate courts, subordinate criminal courts, and subordinate civil courts, like district court and this court, High Court has got appellate jurisdiction. There are what we call statute provides, CRPC provides, and also CPC provides, Civil Procedure Code and Criminal Procedure Code. These both provide for appeal to the High Court. So this is appellate jurisdiction which High Court exercises. So this is, and the High Court does not render advice as Supreme Court renders under Article 143. This High Court does not have. And also High Court does not has 142 power. I told you High Court has, Supreme Court has got power to do complete justice in matter brought before it. This High Court does not exercise this jurisdiction. And one more thing, you can challenge the constitutionality of any provision even before the Supreme Court. Before the High Court. High Court has got power to declare any law as unconstitutional. So this is about the jurisdiction of the High Court. Now let us see how High Court, till what extent the High Court has got limit, jurisdictional limit. So far as Supreme Court is concerned, over entire territory of India, the Supreme Court has got jurisdiction. But same is not the case with High Court. It has got jurisdiction over the matters which happened, cause of action which happened within its limit, means within the state limits, or over the cause of matter which affects its state's citizen. Suppose, for example, anything that happened in Telangana state. So Telangana High Court only has got power. Or suppose, for instance, central government has enacted any law or it has enacted any notification which is affecting the right of Telangana citizen. It has enacted that law in Delhi. It has issued an order in Delhi. But that is affecting the right of citizen of Telangana state. So he has got power to approach the High Court, Telangana High Court. So this is the limit, what we call territorial limit of Telangana High Court, High Court under Article 225. And another important thing is under Article 228, High Court has got transfer power as the Supreme Court has under Article 139. Same is case with Article 139 capital A. Same is case with Supreme High Court under Article 228. It can transfer any case which is pending before the subordinate court or two or more courts to itself, and it can decide the matter. This is about the transfer power of the High Court. And one more thing. And the Supreme Court, Parliament has got power to extend the jurisdiction of the High Court to two or more states, as we have discussed. There could be common High Courts for two or more states, and also jurisdiction can be extended. I will give you our own example. After the state of Telangana was carved out, after division of the then undivided AP into state of Telangana and AP, from 2014 till 2019, till December 31st, 2018, our High Court, there was common High Court for state of Telangana and state of Andhra Pradesh. It was called by name High Court for Judicature for state of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. So this common High Court, we can have extension of jurisdiction. From January 2019, January 1st, 2019, we had our own court, AP High Court got its own court. So 25th court, the latest court that was constituted was AP High Court. It is the 25th court which was constituted on January 1st, 2019. So this is about the High Courts. Now I will talk about subordinate judiciary. The provisions relating to it is from Article 233 till Article 237. So there should be subordinate judiciary. Subordinate judiciary is nothing but your civil court and criminal courts. A district judge shall be appointed. A person who has practiced for 7 years, he shall be appointed as a district judge, which is nothing but subordinate judiciary. And who shall appoint the district judges? Governor of a state. There, in case of Supreme Court, President of India. In case of High Court, President of India. But coming to the subordinate judiciary, it is the governor of state who appoints district judges in consultation with the High Court concerned. Suppose, for example, Telangana state governor wants to appoint any judge as a subordinate court judge, district judge. So Telangana governor will appoint after consulting Telangana High Court. After consulting Telangana High Court is nothing but after consulting the Chief Justice of Telangana High Court. So subordinate judiciary consists of civil court, criminal courts and all other matters, family matters, all this. This is the subordinate judiciary. So with this, we conclude with High Courts and subordinate courts. If anyone has got any doubt, you may ask. And also one more thing, Supreme Court and High Courts these days are entertaining PILs. PIL is nothing but public interest litigation. See, generally, if you feel aggrieved, if someone has caused any harm to you, or if anyone has caused a damage to you, you as a party, you have right to approach the Supreme Court under Article 32, High Court under Article 220 against the state. If any private citizen has violated his right, you can approach the subordinate judiciary. And from that, appeal lies and all that, so on and so forth happens. But public interest litigation is such kind of litigation where you are not the aggrieved party. No harm has been caused to you. But on behalf of citizens, on behalf of other citizens whose rights are violated or will be violated by the state, you can file a public interest litigation before the High Court under Article 226 and before the Supreme Court under Article 32. And these days, public interest litigation is itself like it is a vast number of public interest litigations are being filed. So this is all about public interest litigation. So if you be anyone of you have got any doubt, you may please ask.
So any violation of fundamental rights can be we can approach only Supreme Court or High Court, or we can approach both the court?
I told you we can approach both the High Court and Supreme Court. In addition to this power of entertaining violation of fundamental rights, you can go to the High Court for violation of any other right. Like suppose, for example, you have 6 fundamental rights. 5 fundamental rights. After taking away that constitutional remedies, one right to equality, freedom, and what you call exploitation, educational and fundamental rights, and educational and cultural rights, and right against exploitation, and right to freedom of religion. These are the 5 rights that you have under the Part 3 chapter. Apart from that, any other legal right of yours is being violated, then you can approach the High Court. You can approach only the High Court, not the Supreme Court. So in addition to these fundamental rights, the High Court has been given the power to entertain writ petitions for violation of legal rights. Suppose, for example, a government has issued a tender and it is only your legal right. If you feel that your legal right has been violated, then you can approach the High Court, not the Supreme Court. And one more thing, one more most important thing that I will tell you is, when you approach this High Court or the Supreme Court, more particularly High Court under 226, same 5 writs are there: habeas corpus, quo warranto, mandamus, certiorari, and prohibition. The court will see whether you have got what we call alternative remedy, whether you have exhausted alternative remedy. Suppose, for example, Consumer Protection Act. As per Consumer Protection Act, if you feel that an opposite party, a trader, has violated any of your right as a consumer, you can approach the district commission, then after that state commission, and from there to the national commission. Instead of going to the national commission, if you go to the High Court, suppose, for example, the High Court will see whether you have exhausted the alternative remedy. And the High Court finds, no, you have not exhausted that alternative remedy. It will direct you to go to the, first exhaust that remedy before the National Commission and come back. From there, National Commission appeal lies to the Supreme Court. But there is some what we call territorial mistakes, or as I told you, certiorari and prohibition. It has exceeded its jurisdiction, district commission or state consumer commission. Then under Article 227, as we have discussed, the High Court has got superintendence power. So invoking that power, it can entertain this what we call alternative remedy. So first the High Court will see whether you have got any alternative remedy or not. And if you have got alternative remedy, the High Court will say to you to go to that court. If the High Court finds no, this is the only remedy under Article 226 or 227 that you have, then the High Court will entertain your writ petition.
Basically, we were told, I think if I'm not wrong, that for all the writs, only Supreme Court is the only court where you can approach for.
No, sorry. I don't think like either they might have told in some other way, but High Court has got power. I will read the Article 226. I have read just now. Again, I will read it to clarify. See, Article 226, Clause 1. Notwithstanding anything. See what it says, notwithstanding anything in Article 32. Initially, it starts by saying that Article 32 might be there. We are not considering that 32. Every High Court shall have powers throughout the territories in relation to which it exercises jurisdiction to issue to any person or authority, including in appropriate cases, any government within those territories, directions, orders, or writs, including writs in the nature of habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, quo warranto, and certiorari, or any of them, for the enforcement of any of the rights conferred by Part 3. What is Part 3? Fundamental rights. So for enforcement of any of your fundamental rights, you can approach the High Court. Along with High Court, you can approach the Supreme Court under 32. I think they could have said that you can approach the Supreme Court only for violation of fundamental rights under 32.
See, what I told is that if fundamental rights are violated, you can directly approach the Supreme Court, not necessarily in the way of appeal from High Court.
So you can approach the Supreme Court or High Court for violation of fundamental rights. But for violation of legal rights, you can approach only your High Court. Supreme Court does not has got that jurisdiction. Because Article 32 itself is a fundamental right to constitutional remedies. As Dr. Ambedkar said, what we call it is the heart and soul of the Constitution. So for that reason. So I hope your doubt is clarified. So with this, we will conclude. If anyone has got any doubts, you may ask, please.
There's one question on regarding high courts. I mean, I came across a question which is oldest high court in India. Is it Allahabad or Mumbai?
No, not Allahabad High Court. Calcutta High Court, Calcutta, Madras, and Bombay. These were constituted on the same day. One day here and there. As per High Court Act 1861. That's why they are called as presidency courts also. So these three courts, I told you in the course of discussion that three courts have got original jurisdiction to entertain civil matters.
Yeah.
High Court of Madras, Bombay, and this Calcutta. Apart from that, after independence, after enactment of Constitution, Delhi High Court and Himachal Pradesh High Court. These two high courts were also given original jurisdiction to entertain cases of civil nature or criminal nature. I'm clarifying that. Again, someone might say that no original jurisdiction to entertain writ petitions and all that it has got. That is writ jurisdiction. Original jurisdiction to entertain matters of civil nature and criminal nature, High Court. These 5 high courts have got original jurisdiction. Apart from that, you have to go to the civil courts. The appropriate junior civil judge, senior civil judge, district judge, and all that, based on the pecuniary jurisdiction. After them, you have to go to the appeal. You can come to the High Court on appeal, but not directly to the High Court. I hope that is clarified.
The oldest High Court is Calcutta High Court. I discussed it in the mock test part also. So Calcutta High Court was constituted.
This Calcutta High Court, generally what we call is Calcutta High Court, Bombay High Court, and Madras High Court, because these three were constituted one day here and there. And from before Constitution was enacted, appeal from the decision of this High Court used to go to Privy Council, directly to the Privy Council. After enactment of Government of India Act 1935, from the decision of High Court, appeal used to go to the Federal Court, and from Federal Court to Privy Council. Now, after enactment of Constitution, from High Court directly to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court is the final court. From there is no appeal to any other court. Indeed, as we have discussed in the earlier class, that review petition, curative petition, that all lie.
For union territories.
Yes.
So for union territories, each has its own high court or?
No. As I have told you, there could be common high courts. I gave you the example also. No? Chandigarh High Court. It is for Union Territory of Chandigarh and states of Punjab and Haryana. And what we call state of Madras High Court has got jurisdiction over Pondicherry High. So this thing. And Lakshadweep and Andaman and Nicobar Islands, these both are Union Territory. And this High Court has got jurisdiction, Bombay High Court.
So for any issues in those, they have to reach these.
Yes. They have to go to Bombay High Court only.
Okay.
But in case, now suppose for example, even Delhi is a Union Territory, but it has got its own High Court.
Okay.
So it all depends upon the Parliament. If it wants, it can provide. If it does not want, it cannot provide. Although Delhi is a national capital territory, still it has got this High Court, its own High Court.
its own high court. Yeah.
And one more thing, apart from this academic thing, practical I will tell you is from the decisions that High Court renders, generally from Delhi High Court, Punjab High Court, and High Courts that are in the north side, appeal lies. Generally, people file appeal to the Supreme Court. 90% of appeal go from that High Courts because Supreme Court is near from there. For that practical reasons, people don't go. Although you have every right to go from Kanyakumari till the Supreme Court, but to avoid litigation, cost and traveling expenses and all that, seeing this people avoid. So for that reason, there is a demand and also urge among the people that to constitute a Supreme Court in this level, the Supreme Court here. As we have discussed in the Supreme Court sector, there could be a seat apart from Delhi also. But they are not appointing for the reasons best known to them. So these all are practical things.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
So, court and criminal court.
Pardon?
What is civil court and criminal court?
Okay, civil court is nothing. Civil court is this. Your what we call disputes of civil nature, like property matters, family matters, and what we call your rights over this property, that, and your what we call some other rights. This is the civil court to entertain this kind of matters. And what we call disputes between partners or contract matters. This is the civil court. Over this civil law matters, the civil court has got jurisdiction. And criminal court is nothing but like your IPC, murder, theft, what we call other crime like rape, criminal conspiracy. This all IPC provisions are there, and Prevention of Corruption Act. These all enactments are there. No? So to decide cases from this, criminal court has got jurisdiction. So criminal court entertains matters of criminal nature, civil court entertain matter of civil nature. Apart from that, we have this specialized tribunals, like for copyright matters, copyright tribunal, intellectual property matters. So intellectual property tribunal, service matters, central administrative tribunal, state administrative tribunal. These all tribunals and high court, these courts have been formed and constituted to reduce the burdens on this traditional courts. And consumer court, district commission, state consumer commission, it entertains matters over consumer matters. Like earlier, civil courts used to entertain torts matters. When you will be coming to law, you will be knowing. I hope you all are what we call prospects of what we call who are studying for law set or other competitive exams to take it. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So when you come to study law, you will be knowing all this. What are the high court? What is taught and what are the wrongs that happen, and which court has got which jurisdiction, and all this you will be knowing. So basically, to clarify your doubt, civil court entertains civil matters of property, this all civil nature, and criminal court entertain matters of this criminal nature. I hope your doubt is clarified.
So, sir, in every state there will be civil court and a high court.
Yes. Every state, in each and every district, it will be there. If you belong to Hyderabad, you will be knowing there are 3-4 courts in Hyderabad. Rangareddy High Court and Hyderabad Court, Malkajgiri, Secunderabad. At various places you have courts. If you go to your district or if you stay in any village, in our village also there will be a court. Village court, from village level till district level, there will be courts. Across entire territory of India, these all are called as subordinate courts, lower courts. And from there, appeal lies to the High Court. From there to the Supreme Court.
Thank you so much, sir.
Any other doubt? So I hope no one has got any doubt. So shall we conclude, Trinath?
Yes, I think we should do this. I'm just stopping the record.
So thank